What's going on, guys? Welcome to the final Destiny 2 video on BlackTideTV, at least for a little while, as tomorrow we'll be back with Call of Duty Infinite Warfare for around a week, and then probably some World War II after that. But in today's video, there's a very good reason why I'm concluding Destiny 2 content for a while, and that is because I've reached a point in the game where I can't exactly progress any further without some very specific circumstances taking place. And by that I mean there really isn't an end game in Destiny 2. An end game, if you weren't aware, is a goal that you're working towards, that everyone is working towards trying to accomplish before whatever happens, before the DLC, before the next game comes out. For example, if you're a Call of Duty fan, the end game in Call of Duty is to reach max level and unlock everything. So, say for example Infinite Warfare, there are 30 prestige now. It's a pretty ridiculous endgame, but the idea is to hit prestige 30 level 55 to unlock all of your camouflage patterns, all of your rig outfits. That's the end game in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare multiplayer. Destiny 2 should have a very specific end game, and that is completing the raid, earning all of your max level gear from the raid and the trials of the 9, and then basically hitting your max power or light level, which I believe is set currently at like 350. I know all the weapons can go up to 350 light as of now, or power. I'm gonna keep calling it light. It was called light in the original game. It's called power level now. But in Destiny 2, that should be the end game, and it should be very accomplishable by completing the higher level activities, the Nightfall Strikes, the raids, and the Trials of the 9 Crucible. However, these events do not reward you with high-end level gear. In fact, all of the gear in Destiny is seemingly cosmetic, as in it doesn't matter which legendary or exotic gear you're using, because you can just infuse any other items that you have into them to make them better. So infusion in Destiny works a little like this. Whatever item you have, if it's a lower power level than some other new item of the same type that you find, you can infuse that new one into your older one and make your older one more powerful. So say you are picking up, say you have a pulse rifle, and that pulse rifle is a 275 power level, and you pick up something that's a 285 power level, a pulse rifle of the same type. You can infuse your 285 because you like the 275 one a little bit better, and the 275 one will suddenly jump up to 285 power at the cost of getting rid of that newer pulse rifle that you just picked up. That's how you can improve all of your gear in Destiny 2. Unfortunately, there's a point that you reach where you cannot any longer pick up items of a higher power level. I am at that point right now. You'll hit that point multiple times throughout your experience in Destiny. You'll be playing, and all of a sudden everything will be dropping at one specific power level. You'll hit a level and every single thing will drop at 260, regardless of what it is. If you're buying from vendors, if you're completing missions, if you're finding random engrams on the ground, every single thing will drop at 260 for the most part, except for exotics. Exotics are the one outlier to this kind of problem, this little situation. When you find exotics, there's a very, very good chance that those exotics will drop at a higher power level than your basically your blocker, your 260. So say you're dropping at 260, you finally find an exotic, it might drop at 275. When you put that on, it'll raise your light up a little bit higher than where you were when you were getting 260, and you'll start to see fresh gear start to drop. There are certain barricades that you have to jump over, certain hurdles, that once you get there, you're going to be stuck there for a while until you finally find some exotic gear that's going to boost you up. And of course, remember, you don't have to use that exotic. You can infuse that exotic into an existing legendary, and it will still be the same power, and it will still give you the boost that you need to get into the next sort of zone where you'll be getting better gear again. However, there's a point when you reach such a high level. I'm at light level 290, and every single thing is dropping at 280. I've had a couple 281s, but it doesn't make a difference because I'm 290. All of my gear is above the point where a 281 will help me to infuse, and so I have nowhere to go from here. You're going to hit this point at some time as well. It might not be 280 for you, it might be something else. But the thing is, everything will drop at 280 now. All of my Vanguard gear, all of my Crucible gear, all of the vendor stuff, all of the engrams that you're rewarded, all of the final mission rewards. even all of the gear from Nightfall Strikes and Trials of the Nine. Trials of the Nine is a new event in Crucible, a very special event returning from the original Destiny, and the original Destiny was Trials of Osiris. So Osiris trials were extremely difficult. You had so many chances to get your wins. Once you lost so many times, you would no longer be able to participate. You'd have to buy another ticket. And the rewards for these Trials of Osiris were incredibly high. They were, people called them endgame gear, quote-unquote endgame gear. The same as raid gear, it's endgame gear because it's supposed to be the best gear in the entire game, and it really was in Destiny. In the original game, if you wanted to participate in the raid, in the Nightfall Strikes, or even in Trials of Osiris, you would be going in at a disadvantage because there was no possible way to raise your light level high enough to be at the recommended setting for going in. Say the raid in the original Destiny was maybe, I can't remember how light levels worked in the original Destiny, so let's say the raid was recommended 200 light. There was no possible way for you to be 200 light when you first attacked that raid. When you went in, you would be a 180. There was no way that you would be 200 going into a 200 raid because then the raid would just be easy. Apart from the puzzles, the raid would be easy. Unfortunately, in Destiny 2, you can far surpass the level that you need to be to go into the end game activities such as raid, trials, nightfalls. When I first attacked the raid, I was already like a 285, a 287 in power, and that raid is geared for recommended 260 to 280, so I was already past the high level recommended setting for the raid, and the raid is dropping me engrams, dropping me items at each of the chests throughout the portions of the raid at 280 light, so I'm not getting raid gear from the raid. Now, of course, if you complete the raid, you are given one piece of gear at a high level, or so I've heard. I have not yet completed the raid, but when you complete the raid, you're given one piece of gear at a higher level, which will boost you a little bit, but I'm hard set to think that it's going to be a very, very good item that's going to put you at a next level so that you can get into those next level gear drops. It's too easy to get into these events, the Nightfall Strikes, the raids, the trials, and then they're not giving you the rewards that you deserve for them. They're not giving you endgame gear. And to make matters worse, with trials and with the raid, there are now reputation tokens. There's reputation tokens with everything in this game, with every single character on every planet, with all of your different Vanguard heads. There are reputation points, and when you get your reputation points up, they'll give you a random legendary engram. That legendary engram, of course, is dropping at 280 for me on every single person, including Trials gear, and with Raid gear, it's even worse because the Raid vendor, or so I've heard, gives you power level 10 items, as in 10. Everything else that I have is 290-ish, and they're giving you 10 power level, and they expect you to infuse your current items into those items to make them better. In other words, they are extremely cosmetic because I guarantee you that even if they're raid gear, it's not going to give you any kind of extra benefit in its abilities unless it's exotic. So basically you are paying to get lower level gear that you'll have to destroy your own current gear into to make them better just so you can look cool. So all of the gear in Destiny 2 is more or less cosmetic, and there's no real point to competing in the raid. Yes, if you complete the raid once per week, you'll get one special new item, but all of the rest of the items that you're going to find in the raid, and even all the reputation tokens, are all for naught, because it's not going to help you in the long run. It's not going to increase your light level. It's not going to make you any better at the game. It's not going to bring you any closer to the end game. The end game gear is broken in Destiny 2 because it doesn't help you, and you're already a high enough light level to attack the raid, to attack trials, to attack the Nightfall Strikes, and not even break a sweat. There are prestige level events, which are harder versions of the raid or whatever, but in the previous game, to do the harder versions, you would have to do the first version first to get the better gear so that you could take on the harder level events, whereas in this game, you can basically play the campaign, do a couple patrols, a couple side missions, and you'll be a high enough level to take on the prestige level events before you even start in the standard raid, the standard strikes, the standard Trials of Osiris. The Trials of Osiris gear for me is all dropping at 280, and all of the special gear that comes from all of the very unique vendors such as the Bright Engrams, whatever her name is, at Tess Everest. She does sell armor, believe it or not, and that armor drops at 10 power level. It's a very unique looking armor, but again, you have to transfuse everything you have, or infuse everything you have, sorry, into those items to make them better. And the same thing goes for Xur. Xur, if you did not know, is an exclusive weekend-only character. He shows up randomly on the map somewhere, and he offers you exotic items, the best of the best. In the original game, it was always a thing, running around the tower trying to find Xur, because he was going to give you the best items you could possibly imagine to have in the game. You'd have to save up all your strange coins, all of your little different currencies to be able to buy things from Xur. Nowadays, Xur sucks. Xur is honestly terrible because he gives you power level 250 gear only. Again, I'm at 290, he gave me 250 exotics, so my exotics that I got from him, incredibly pointless. So I had to infuse all of the things that I already have into the exotics that he gave me. Just because they're exotic, I need to improve them because I want to do some exotic weapon reviews. But in the long run, I wouldn't really be using them. I'd be picking up the exotics to try them out to see if they are worth using in the long run, and replacing like Might multi-tool or something, because that is also an exotic. You can only run one exotic at a time. I would be picking up these exotics to try them to see if they're any good, but as they are already dropping at such a low power level, it's incredibly pointless for me to pick up the exotics because they'll already be making me worse. I'll be like, oh, I'll pick this up and try it out, but I'll instantly come to the conclusion that they aren't good because they're such a low power level, and I have to automatically infuse all of my current items into the exotics that he's giving me. Basically, all of the high level end game areas to pick up gear, the raid, trials, Tess Everest, who has very special unique gear, Xur, and even Nightfall Strikes, which I haven't really talked about too much in this video, but you get the point. All of these end game activities do not reward you with the proper gear, and so the game is becoming incredibly stale very quickly. It's just a massive grind, hoping and pulling the slot machine, trying to find that one random item, that one random exotic that'll be above your power level, that'll put you in the next level. Long story short, endgame gear and endgame activities are incredibly broken. They need something done with them, and they make the game feel stale and unfinished. There really is no point for players to continue playing Destiny 2 once they hit a high enough level. So please, if Bungie could look at this, it would be great. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.